Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and unfortunately open source, .NET open source more specifically, has claimed another victim. Now, I don't know if you know about this project, but there's this project called Nuke. Nuke is a great project. I've never really talked about this. I have used it in the past when I was working at companies here in London. The idea is that it's a CI/CD project where you can write C# in a very nice, elegant way, actually like this, and you can define your build. It has a command line tool. It's I really like the API, actually, the way it reads, what you can do with it. It's super in-depth, and it's made by someone working at JetBrains called Matthias. Now, Matthias has been working on this for a very long time. Like I said, popular package, 3,500 stars, 26 million downloads, and so on. However, people have noticed some very weird behavior with Nuke recently, and that is the project being archived, then unarchived, then developer work not really being done, and so on. So there was this question of like, is this project dying? There was also a questionable term in the terms of use, which is like you have to give it a star to use it or something like that. I can't quite remember, but basically, clearly something has been going on behind the scenes with Matthias and the project. And I think it's ultimately like demotivation of like doing this thankless job that, you know, it's the old story of open source development. You do something for the community, nobody contributes back financially or with development work, they keep asking. We've seen this over and over again, Mediator, Automapper, the list goes on, and it has been going on for years. Now, recently, 2 weeks ago actually, called The Future of Nuke, and it was made by Droppers, which basically describes that, hey, this project is not really moving and they have tons of pipelines depending on Nuke. And Nuke doesn't have a solution X file support, which is the new solution file. The tools are heavily outdated, things like Yarn and so on. And people want the project to be updated, but Matthias is nowhere to be found, basically. People have tried to reach out to him, they wasn't responding. And this sentiment is shared by other people. As you can see over here, we're also blocked by the lack of Solution X support. Tools are also an issue for us, and so on. And people were piling up and saying, hey, what's going on? We tried to reach out to Matthias in several channels, but we're not successful. We'd love this project to continue. And it feels a very interesting open source niche in .NET, which I agree is honestly really well designed. The API is one of the best APIs you're going to find on any .NET project out there. Fast forward to 3 days ago, and Matthias responds saying it's sad news for those in the community who have been responsible open source software citizens, some of those whom I've considered close friends and trusted peers. And the inactivity here is obviously a direct result of the well-known open source sustainability problem. So that's ultimately what it boils down to, this demotivation of like doing the work, but not actually getting something out of it. This is very interesting. The final straw was when some individuals chose to attack and accuse me during my most vulnerable times. I don't know exactly what this means, and I do know Matthias, but Matthias has sort of disappeared. The last time I saw him was like a month ago at the conference in Lisbon, after a long time of him being on every single conference I would go to speak and do workshops. And in general, the overall experience has shifted into a net negative, making further dedication difficult to justify regardless of how he feels quite appreciative. So it is about feeling like shit, because you try to give something out for free and then people don't even appreciate that. Now, a bit of a side note and sidetrack, but just to understand what type of person Matthias is, back in the day, back in 2021, I think, when I had basically no subscribers, maybe 20,000 or so on, Matthias saw me at my very first conference I attended called NDC Oslo, and he was the very first person waiting in the queue that just reached out and said, hey, hello everybody, I'm Nick, and we started chatting, and he is the nicest guy you will ever meet in the speaker circle. So I can tell that he's a very emotional person, and I can tell why he would feel that way, because it can be very demotivating, but the guy is genuinely an amazing person. Though uneasy about the community's response, as most maintainers make uncomfortable decisions, feel largely resolved about the situation. Basically, long story short, unsustainable, unhappy. Now, people started pouring love. You have Hayden, who works for Hero Devs. Hero Devs is a company that offers post LTS and STS support for .NET. So if you're in a .NET 6 version, for example, they can sell you support that fixes all the issues and so on. And they have 20 million USD set aside as a fund for open source infrastructure tools. The thing is, it should not come to the point where someone has a mental breakdown for this money to be used for projects in the community. If you have that much cash, don't just say we have it set aside, actually use it before the project fucking disappears. I know it's an application process, but when you go into a community, because they did not start with .NET Hero Devs, they're coming into .NET, you do a bit of like market research and you realize what projects are influential. You can go as far as sort by popularity on NuGet and you'll figure it out. So yeah, okay. If you're interested, Hero Devs, sort it out. So people are unsure, like, will it be discontinued? Will it be not? Should people migrate to Cake, which is an alternative, which I do not like. I had to work with Cake and I vastly prefer Nuke's developer experience than Cake's. And after all the comments and all the support, I will link in the description of this post in case you want to check it out. But after all of this, Matt responded. Now, before I show you the response of Matt, I want to respond to the fact that it is Friday today that I'm recording and publishing this video. And you know what else is Friday? Black Friday. Our Black Friday sale at DomeTrain is now live. 40% off every course, every learning path, and DomeTrain Pro, yours to keep forever. Link in the description, check it out. So, Matt said, first of all, I want to thank everyone for the positive feedback. Some responses have touched me deeply. While everything I wrote remains unreversed, the last of many calls I had since yesterday affected some of my perspectives. I decided to ship 10.0 release, including SLNX support and update dependencies, which should unblock most people who understandably ended up here. Hopefully this gives all of us more time to breathe and think about next steps. I will expand on my initial post once possible and appreciate your patience. Matt, if you're watching this, and I know you're watching this, make this a commercial project. Yes, some people will hate me for saying this. The truth is, and I'm speaking about this as someone who has commercialized part of what I'm doing. YouTube videos are of course free, but I am running DomeTrain, which is a very successful business, and I couldn't be happier. It's why you often see less videos actually here on YouTube, because I have way more fun running that business. So it will actually make a massive change. Those who want to stay will stay. Those who have to move to Cake, it's potentially the audience you don't want to have, because it's the audience that will keep demanding without giving anything back. Whether that is code or money, both of them can work, both donations in terms of money and donations in terms of code. And people just freaking loved this response. And I'm really happy that Matt decided to do this 9 hours ago. And I'm happy I'm making this video now and not yesterday when I originally planned it, because I would have missed this. So nothing has really changed currently, but Nuke has been updated, and if you go into the code base, you'll see that, yeah, there is Solution X support and so on. So I really want you to go down in the comments and let me know. Go down on this post as well. If you're using Nuke, if you're not using Nuke, give your feedback, be supported, suggest how this could move forward, because it would be a shame to lose such an influential and amazingly developed project by such a good developer. But I want to know from you, what do you think about the situation, and which is the next project that you think is going to go private or commercial? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Well, that's all I had for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep coding.